Shamaya, you did it.
STL Music.
Is that welcome back to the show. So listen up, we back in the game. Sweet the league, we got the flame. Motivated to the fullest, every single day. We wake up, get it in every way. Working it two in the global inspiration. Talk this sports to top news, no hesitation. Sweet the league is back. We always coming back, that's a fact. Wanna tell them that STL Music, mama, we did it, where we at? Coach Jill in the house with the flow so tight. Never done, Rebroadcast, we unite. Yeah, the best show, Monday through Friday. If this ain't different, they lying. We got the energy. When I say sweep, you say the league. Sweep the league, sweep the league, sweep the league, sweep the league. San Antonio, let's go. Sweep the league. Sweep the league. Sweep the league. San Antonio.
Enjoying Sweep the League TV? Don't keep it to yourself. Share with friends and let them join the fun.
Hey, it's Rain Fernandez, and you're watching Sweep the League. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and Facebook at Rain Fernandez, Rayne Fernandez.
Hi, it's Sherilyn, and you're watching Sweep the League TV. Follow me on Instagram at official Sherilyn for more content.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweep the League Radio.
Good Thursday morning, Sweep the League fanatics. It's Rudy Campos Jr. going to be joined by Hall of Famer Derek Irvin. This is our NFL preview show. NFL kicks off tonight. It's Kansas City. It is Baltimore. It is a barn burner of a game. Who's going to be 1-0? We're going to get to that discussion here later on in the show. We're going to break down all of the NFL for you guys here in probably in under an hour, maybe just over an hour or so. We're going to get you guys caught up on all the NFL doings. We're going to give you our predictions. We're going to give you a preview of the divisions, who we may feel win the Super Bowl, who are AFC reps, NFC reps, maybe MVP candidates, offensive players, just whatever you guys want to talk about when it comes to the NFL. Be sure to get your questions on into the chat. You can join us on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search at Sweep the League TV. This show is going to be powered by MCS General Contracting, Special Leaf Tea, Castro and Sun Solar, La Cocina Taco Truck, all proud sponsors of Sweep the League. So let's bring him on in because we want to get this show going, and we don't want to hesitate to get everybody involved here. Let's bring him on in. It's Hall of Famer himself, Derek Irvin. Derek, are you ready for like NFL talk? I mean, this is your comfort zone too, I'm sure now.
I'm ready.
Yeah,
I hope everything's going well. Hey, good morning, man.
Yeah, Mark Harpin, good morning. That's Sports Insanity Network. You got to take a look at those guys. They do a fantastic job. Sweep the League does get broadcast with Sports Insanity Network. When we have the opportunity, says morning, Mr. Garvin. We got to get Derek on Sports Insanity with those guys a couple of times. I know Derek would love to talk some basketball with them out there. So appreciate everybody joining us today. And what do we have, Derek? We have a special show. We rarely go on this morning this way in the mornings, but we're doing it today, so we're sharing it now. It's football talk, man. It's going to be all the football talk you guys can get. We're going to break down divisions. We're going to break them down pretty quickly. Again, we're going to try to get everything in under an hour. I texted Gio, Derek, and I said, hey, how's the cruise? I got ghosted. I got blocked. I got everything. Apparently this guy does not want to hear any bad Rams talk.
Either that or the trip's going well.
Could be. It could be, man. Can't wait for Mahomes to ball out today morning, boys. Rocky Garza. Be sure to tune in to Sweep the League. Rock's going to be joining us here. We're going to work on his schedule to get him back, especially for NFL season. He's our Dallas Cowboy guy. He's our Dallas Cowboy go-to guy. And yes, more than welcome, Derek. You're more than welcome on the Sports Insanity Network. So let's go to some divisions here, man. Before we actually go through divisions, how do you feel overall for the NFL? For me, I'm kind of excited. I'm excited because you're you're seeing teams that are going to be transitioning for the better, some teams transitioning for the worse. I mean, as much of a supporter as you are and a huge fan for the Buffalo Bills, it seems like they trend down a little bit with the lack of wide receivers that they have there, being, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel being the top three receivers there. You see the rise of the New York Jets, and, they get Aaron Rodgers back. They're perennial, Super Bowl contenders coming out of the AFC. A lot of people feel they can dethrone Kansas City. You've got the hype behind Caleb Williams. Is it that much there? You see Minnesota with the best wide receiver in the game, with absolutely one of the worst quarterbacks in the game. How are you feeling about the NFL season, which starts tonight?
I'm feeling good because there's a lot of things that we don't know yet. You can go over the paper, look at teams, how they're projected and all that. And
Mhm.
then there's reality. So as you know, there's a lot of teams that's kind of switched up, like Bo Nix getting the opportunity. You got Jalen McDaniels out there. You got a lot of things. That's Caleb Williams. So it's going to be exciting. You got some of the old school guys who are possibly on their way out soon, like an Aaron Rodgers, and then you got guys that are just coming in. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's football. We all have to get excited for football. We have a little bit of downtime. The NFC is once again the more dominant conference. We'll see. I mean, we'll see. I think the NFC probably is the more dominant conference, but I don't know, man. I mean, the AFC still has a lot of good teams. In fact, they have probably what I consider the best division in football, and we're going to get into that here in just a little bit. So, yeah, what do y'all think of the most pressure to win? For me, it's the Niners. Rock, I will answer that real quick. For me, it's not so much the Niners; it's the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, I've been talking big time about Baltimore in the offseason. MVP and Lamar Jackson, and he's an MVP candidate year in and year out. How much more time do you give John Harbaugh to, diddle daddle with the Baltimore Ravens, who actually went down this offseason in the sense of the defensive side of the ball? So if he can't get it done this year, there's got to be rumors, there's got to be speculation that they may have to make a change because they're not going to move Lamar, they're going to move the head coach first. So for me, it's definitely the Baltimore Ravens to win. I think it's got to be Super Bowl, for the Ravens to consider it to be, okay, we're doing good. AFC Championship game, we're good. But if it's another lackluster playoff season after a pretty good regular season, something's got to be done with Baltimore. You got a team that you're looking at, Derek?
Yeah, I was with you kind of on the Baltimore Ravens, but I'm going to switch to another team, San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
If you look at their roster, they're loaded from top to bottom, at least offensively. We'll see what happens with their pass protection, but if the 49ers don't win today, I mean, this year you got to kind of think about breaking that team up. They re-signed Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
You got Christian McCaffrey, you got George Kittle, you got Debo Samuels, you got all these guys. So for me, a lot of pressure is on Brock Purdy to get these guys in position to succeed again. And so, yeah, I'm going to say the San Francisco 49ers.
And we can't forget the America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. They are under massive amount of pressure. We are already talking about Dak Prescott not being a Cowboy after this season. Talking about Mike McCarthy
Well,
not being the head coach after this season. So, I mean, if there's ever a team that needs
I
to get
don't
it done, it's right now.
know. I watched Jerry A. Jones on an interview yesterday with Stephen A. Smith, and he's pretty confident in his team. He thinks the little tweaks that they made by bringing Ezekiel in, he liked how Ezekiel looked against when he was playing for the Patriots. So that was one of the reasons he brought him in. So I'm interested to see if he likes the team more. Of course, we know that's Jerry, but they did go finally sign C.D. Lamb. And I think over the course of the season, that's going to help them a lot. But we all know if they don't get it done this year, then you can pretty much say adios to Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott.
Yeah, Mark feels that McCarthy's out unless they win a Super Bowl. I mean, it is Super Bowl really or bust for Mike McCarthy with Dallas. He thinks Dak will be kept. It's so hard because I feel you should have made that commitment to Dak earlier in the offseason. I understand CeeDee Lamb, I understand Micah Parsons are a massive priority, but I mean, we keep going back. Dak was second in MVP voting last year. I mean, Dak's been the best quarterback that they could possibly have gotten. There's no other QB that they could have gone and got comparable to Dak Prescott. So they should have taken care of it a little bit earlier. This is Hall of Famer Derek Irvin, Rudy Campos Jr. This is Sweep the League in the morning for the first time in probably forever. I don't know if we'll ever do this again. I barely woke up, man. So, I mean, it is what it is. But nonetheless, let's get into some NFL talk, Derek. We're going to break down some divisions here. We're going to head off first to the NFC South division, where the world beaters and the Super Bowl champions in another universe, the Atlanta Falcons, are there. But this division is probably on the weaker side of divisions. You're looking at Kirk Cousins going there. They obviously draft Michael Penix because it's hard to say, well, is Kirk going to stay healthy? Baker Mayfield resigns for Tampa Bay. Mike Evans is on a historic, 1,000-yard streak basically every year. Then you've got teams like the Saints who are kind of relatively unknown. Is Derek Carr going to be able to produce? They have a great backup quarterback in Spencer Rattler, but you also see the rise of the Carolina Panthers. We saw the struggles last year, but they were out get out a Deontay Johnson, and they end up moving on from Brian Burns. So he's in the Giants organization now. But nonetheless, if I'm looking at the preview for the South, I'm gonna go Atlanta, Tampa Bay, and then I'm going to go New Orleans, Carolina. You can flip flop the bottom two. It wouldn't surprise me to see Carolina be number 3. Uh, but honestly, I see the record maybe being 9-8 to win this division. I don't really see a world beater in this division.
Man, that's a tough division. Kind of mediocrity is what you're looking at when you talk about that division.
Yeah.
But there's an X factor in that division to me is the Falcons. And we're going to see. I even heard some people say that they had the Falcons going to the championship. Now, I don't know about that. But I think the Falcons are going to surprise a lot of teams. And I honestly think they're going to win double digits this year. And as far as Kirk Cousins, I don't know if he could stay healthy. I think that makes them a really good team, formidable team. But we have to see. Is this the year that Michael Penix is? He's going to get his chance to shine. So I say the Falcons have to win that division, and I think they're going to do it convincingly.
Yeah, I think double digits is it's really possible for Atlanta in the NFC South. The thing with Atlanta is I got to see if Kirk can stay healthy, and then you see the collegiate production from Kyle Pitts and from Drake London with a better quarterback in the system now, and behind center. Is that going to help them elevate their game? Because you can't rely on Bijan Robinson to be everybody and everybody's world beater for this team. So I on the high end, I see 11 wins maybe on the high end, but where I've got them is right around 9 wins, and I still have them winning the division. You got Mark in here says, "Don't sit quiet on Tampa. Baker can be what he was, they're a true threat." So again, Baker had a good season last year. They can be a real threat, but again, it happens more times than not. Whether it's the NBA, Derek, NFL, MLB, you secure the bag. Sometimes you let your foot off the gas a couple of times. So I want to see how Baker is. But you see any surprises in this, or do you really have Atlanta coming out of the NFC South?
I have Atlanta. I think maybe we don't know what the Saints are going to look like.
Yeah.
That's a kind of a mystery team to me on both sides of the ball. But I expect the Saints to be right there. But like I say, I think the Falcons are the best team in this division, and I think they're going to surprise a lot of teams. Their schedule is, I won't say it's the toughest in the league, but in this league, every game is a tough one, and especially if you don't come prepared. So I'm going to take the Falcons, and then I can see the Saints trying to cause some problems there. If anything, of course, the surprise team will be the Panthers. And I don't know about Tampa Bay, man. I think Tampa Bay is going to struggle a little bit this year. And I think the Falcons are just head and shoulders above everyone else in that division.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at the first 5 games for Atlanta. It's Pittsburgh, at Philadelphia, Kansas City, New Orleans, Tampa Bay. I can really see a 2-3 start right there for
Or
the
three
Atlanta
and
Falcons,
or 3-2 maybe.
or 3-2. It could go either way, or 3-2. I know Philadelphia and Kansas City; those are probably the 2 games where I'm like, okay, those are the 2 losses in the first 5 of the season for Atlanta. There's got to be.
Well, don't you have them going 1-0 today though, or the next in their game against the Steelers?
Uh, Not confidently, I don't, but I will say that as a Falcon fan, as the one of the few representatives in San Antonio, go Dirty Birds. Hopefully, you get that win against Pittsburgh, but I'm not as confident as I would be, against another opponent, because Pittsburgh's actually a mystery team for me. So we're going to get into the NFC North talk with Pittsburgh in there as well. Jeff Garcia, Locked On Spurs, is in here. Is Dak just another Danny White for Dallas? I don't know, man, because we all know the Danny White comparisons. You've got the Tony Romo comparisons. All stats. Just really couldn't win the big one, but I don't think you can really judge a quarterback until the career is over. I mean, they could win one at the very end of their career, and something like that could happen. But for right now, I would say I don't know. I couldn't really compare him to Danny White. I think Danny White still is above and beyond, just my opinion.
Oh boy, I don't know because did Danny White ever finish second in MVP voting? I
Mm,
know it's a different era, but I mean, Dak. If you look at Dak, has played great. Dak's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league. His
he
problem has been
has.
come January. And I don't think we were saying that about Danny White. Danny White was a very good quarterback, but if you look at it over the course of his career, Dak has played really well. They've come up short, of course, but it hasn't always been his fault. And I
Yeah.
think he's trying to have, if it sounds crazy, but I think he even is trying to have a comeback season off of last year. I still think he's not too happy with he's not getting the respect that he deserves. And I'm sure he feels that way. And for him, this is going to be a great year. And I'm sure that the Cowboys are going to surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, we got to get to the NFC East in a little bit here. Talk about the Cowboys, because I'm sad Gio's not here and his 6-win prediction for the Cowboys, because I think they're going to get more than that. But we'll get into the NFC talk in a minute. Christopher Leha's in here. Shout out to MCS General Contracting, massive sponsor of Sweep the League. Appreciate everything you do for us, Leha. He says all he's going to say is the Saints will be playing in the Super Bowl at home this year. So he's got the Saints being the best team in the NFC South, going to the Super Bowl. He's already partying, all that good stuff. It's Mardi Gras all over again. But I will say this: I have told Leha on many occasions, Derek, that the Saints to me are that mystery team. They could be really, really good, and I still think it's that quarterback play. If they get anything out of
Well,
Derek Carr, it's going to be massive, massive, massive,
but
massive.
did they start a 7-on-7 league or something recently that they didn't tell us about? Because
I don't know. He's drinking. He's got the
Christopher.
beers. He's got the beers up.
Oh,
So,
okay. Because that's the
well,
only Super Bowl they're going to be in. It's not going to be the NFL regular season or no championship this year for the New Orleans Saints.
but they're on the rise. I will give them credit. They've got a good quarterback room outside of Derek Carr. Behind Derek Carr, actually, they got a good quarterback room. I'm a huge Spencer Rattler fan. Chris Olave, I mean, is one of the premier wide receivers in the game. Their defense has always been there. It's always produced. I mean, the Saints are right there. And that's why I said they're right in the middle, and they can tip the scales to the left, to the right. You never know exactly what you're going to get out of the New Orleans Saints. And that's why it's so tough for me for all we know, Derek, they could be the second best team in the NFC South. They could be the first best team in the NFC South. It's tough to say when it comes to New Orleans. He says, don't do them like that, Derek.
Rudy, you talking about all these ifs. I could be 5'8" or 7'8", but I'm 6'8", so I
Yeah.
like it. I mean, the team could surprise, but you got half the teams in the league this year that could surprise. If they can come out and do something in that division, we'll be able to tell early, I believe. And even if you look
Yeah.
at them today, they only favored a lot of people. They have them favored by 3 points over the Steelers. And maybe that's just because it's the first game of the season, but I expect the Falcons to have a good year. But as far as Super Bowl, I expect them only to be watching.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's so many ifs with New Orleans. Eventually, those ifs are going to be guarantees, and I say give it a couple of years.
Hey, Rudy, I want to say something about this New Orleans because I want their. What do you think their strength is? Is it defense? Should it be defense this year?
I would say on the defensive side of the ball, yeah, I would say that
defensive line.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say the defensive line is still probably their biggest strength. So it's like we're saying there. You can say like the defensive line's the top, the main strength for the New Orleans Saints. Everything else is not. It's not below average. It's like average, mediocre, satisfactory. So that's why I'm like,
Well, we're gonna tell early because if Bryce Young picks them apart, then what's the conversation?
Early draft picks is what the conversation will be.
If Bryce Young comes out for 300 plus yards, it's going to be a long year for the Saints. I really believe. I think they could be a surprise team, but we'll be able to tell a lot Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. Mark wants to have a mascot runoff in that division to get the winner, and says DeMario and Cam will kill it every year, hoping for a strong year. And that's what I'm saying. The defense for the New Orleans is what's going to keep them in the games a lot. If they can get production on the offensive side, which they've got the capabilities to do. I mean, you have Shaheed, you have Chris Olave, you still got the running game there. And Derek Carr is not bad. I mean, he's no David Carr. He's better than David Carr. So, I mean, Derek Carr's not bad. They've got everything trending up. It's just a matter of when that train starts to roll. So, go ahead, Derek.
Don't you think, though, the defense has to really be on point because they're going to have to make teams cough the ball up. I don't think the guys really, they won't say it publicly, but I don't think the guys really want to have to rely on Derek Carr. Derek is one of those guys that just has never seemed to be able to get over the hump. And so the defense is going to have to get a lot of turnovers to make some things happen and kind of shorten the field for Derek. And if they can do that, then I can see the Saints pulling off the division. But that's a big if.
Well, can I be not devil's advocate, but can I be the angel on your shoulder and say this? In that division, the defense can be dominant because Atlanta, outside of Bijan, we don't know with Kirk Cousins. We haven't seen anything out of Drake London and Kyle Pitts to make anybody to be really scared. And then you go to Tampa Bay. The Saints have pretty much had Tampa Bay's number. They played them very, very tough. Mike Evans tends to have very bad games or very hard games when it comes to playing the Saints. And then again, the Panthers with Bryce Young, he's still young. I still think overall, defensively, the Falcons improved leaps and bounds on the defensive side of the ball. That's going to help them. But to me, the Saints have the better defense in that division. So if we're looking at just the divisional games, I'm taking the Saints per their defense. And that's why I say this is kind of one of those divisions where I could see 9-8 being the top record there, because they're going to beat each other up in that division. And 9-8 may just be enough to get you that divisional win. But nonetheless, we both having Atlanta winning the division. I don't have Atlanta going to Super Bowl. That's not until like 2055. I mean, that's when I figure. I don't know. I'm hoping to still be around by then. And Leha's right. Lattimore owns Evans. Evans struggles big time against the Saints. So we're going to move right along. It's Hall of Famer Derek Irvin, Rudy Campos Jr. coming to you here live with our NFL preview show. We're going to jump from the NFC South to the AFC South. You have the Houston Texans, Tennessee Titans, Jacksonville Jaguars, Indianapolis Colts. Now, this is one of the quote unquote tough boy divisions. And when I say tough boy, I mean it's tough, but it's the young man's division. Why? You have CJ Stroud at quarterback. You have Will Levis at quarterback for Tennessee. You've got Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis. It's kind of crazy when you think Trevor Lawrence is the veteran quarterback in this group, and he's still relatively young. So in this division, all the talk is Houston. they made all the right moves in the offseason on the defensive side of the ball. They've added Joe Mixon. They added Stephon Diggs. I mean, everybody is all hyping up Houston. This is one of those divisions I can see probably 2 teams get into the playoffs. I mean, Jacksonville has always been right there. Tennessee put together a good offseason. You just worried about Will Levis, but the culture there too, you don't know if you can trust Anthony Richardson. So what do?
Well,
You go get Joe Flacco, a proven winner. So division wise, I'm giving it to Houston just by what they've done and what they accomplished last year. I hope we don't see a sophomore slump from CJ Stroud. That would be really bad for this team. But it wouldn't surprise me to see Houston and a Jacksonville or a Tennessee or even like Indianapolis. It wouldn't surprise me to see 2 teams get in the playoffs.
yeah, I like the Texans in this division. I don't think we're going to have a second year slump. I think C.J. Stroud is a real deal, and I think he's going to continue to get better. The game is slowing down for him, and he's one of those special guys. I just don't think anybody in that division could beat them. I know the Colts, we don't know what they're going to be like. Like you said, they brought in Joe Flacco for insurance.
Yeah.
But I know they're hoping they don't have to get that far. It's time for us to see what Mr. Richardson has in his bag. And if he were to falter in the first 4 or 5 games, then I think we would be looking at Joe Flacco. But, that remains to be seen. But I have Houston Texans head and shoulders. I think they're going to win double-digit games. I think they're going to be a tough out for anyone. And I think they're going to be a playoff team. And so for that division, we could have the Texans. And I would say the Jaguars would be my second pick in that division, Rudy. But I'm going Houston Texans for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to Houston as well. I mean, I really feel that they are the better team overall, defensively, offensively. They are 100% better than anybody in that division. But I don't sleep on Jacksonville so much this year. Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk. I love the addition of Brian Thomas Jr. through the draft for the wide receiver position. They also added Gabe Davis. So it gives Trevor a good receiving core. You still have Evan Ingram there. Josh Allen on the defensive side, Arik Armstead, Trayvon Walker, Devin Lloyd. They've got a team that can compete. Now, will they take over the division? I say no. Texans, everybody's agreement. Texans are going to win that division. Leha's in here saying 10-7 for the Saints, but Texans win the division. A great division. Look for Stroud to excel even higher. Watch him go 11-6. I at a win total for that, I've got right about 11 wins for the Houston Texans this year. Have them easily winning the division, but I also see another team making the playoffs. Tennessee, they really under the table, they really made strides in the offseason by making a lot of additions. And it's almost like the Chicago Bears incident but the whole offseason thing. You added so many weapons, but you're hoping your quarterback is good enough to utilize the weapons.
They had a big subtraction as well, even though he didn't have one of his greatest years. I believe he only averaged 68 yards on the ground last year. Derrick Henry. But when you take him, that's still a big loss. If they can get some guys to fill in that position. And yeah, they did kind of upgrade the offense a little bit. The Titans could be a surprise team, but I think Jacksonville is going to be the team that's going to be, climbing up people's shoulders a little bit. I think Trevor's going to have a pretty good year. And if you remember, they started off last year. If I remember, were they like 6-1?
I think so. Yeah, I'm gonna get.
Yeah, they started off. Yeah, they kind of went into a swan dive in the second half, like the Eagles, but they started off really well, and I think they gave them something to build on. I can see the Jaguars fighting the Texans for that first position, and I can see those 2 teams be coming out of the division for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that at all. And like I said, Tennessee and Indianapolis, I think we've got this is probably one of the better divisions in football right here. It's going to be one of the most competitive divisions. You got a lot of great teams in the AFC South. It is. Go ahead, Derek.
Rudy, you'll be able to tell a lot to Sunday. You'll be able to tell a lot because their first game is against the Dolphins, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. It is. Yeah.
So we'll be able to tell a lot about the Texans and Jaguars in Week 1. If they go in
Oh
and
yeah.
handle Miami, all signs are looking up, right?
I do not doubt that at all. It's going to be a great week one. We'll go over some week one predictions here in just a little while. Second half of the show, it is Derek Irvin, Hall of Famer Derek Irvin, Rudy Campos Jr. We're breaking down the AFC and NFC divisions, getting you ready for the NFL, which starts tonight with Kansas City and Baltimore. We're going to move now to NFC, the NFC West, obviously reigning supreme. Oh, and just real quick, normally we play commercials, but we've got a show tonight at 9 p.m. So to our sponsors, we're going to get the commercials in later. We're just trying to get through all the NFL talk here for this show, but we promise you guys we'll give you a shout out. MCS General Contracting, La Cocina Taco Truck, Castro Sun Solar, Special Leaf Tea, all proud sponsors of Sweep the League. So the NFC West reigns supreme, Derek. San Francisco 49ers. Gio and I said last year that window of opportunity to win a Super Bowl was closing, and it's still relatively closing. It's almost shut. So this has to be that year that San Francisco's got to get back to the Super Bowl, got to get it done, because as you mentioned in the show earlier, we may see the last of a Debo Samuel. We may see the last of a George Kittle. This team may be breaking up at the end of the year, knowing they've still got to pay other players. So I think in this division, I still have San Francisco 1, but I can't sleep on the Rams. Golly, it cringes me to say that. I really can't sleep on the Rams, but I'm going to go with San Francisco coming out on top, but I think the Rams make the playoffs as well.
Yeah, I'm going 49ers for sure. I think we're looking at them going possibly 13-4 this year. And I like I'm trying to see what the Seahawks are doing. They're gonna be a pretty good team, but I'm like you. I think the Rams are going to be the team that everyone's going to have to look out for. I expect the 49ers to win that division by 2 games, but I think the Rams can let go 11-6. And the only questions I would have is how they're going to hold up defensively, and especially like the secondary. But
Yeah.
I like the Rams, but I'm definitely going 49ers in this division. And of course, I don't even count the Cardinals. I hate to say it. I'm gonna have them down at the bottom of the division. And I think the other 3 teams at some point during the year will knock each other off one time. But I have the 49ers winning that division without a doubt.
Yeah, it's going to be San Francisco, and then interchangeable, because Mark is saying about Seattle. I mean, where I worry about Seattle is I worry about the play of Geno Smith. That is it. That's really the only concern I have. You have Jackson Smith and Jigba. You got DK Metcalf. You got Tyler Lockett, Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet. I mean, they've got offensive weapons. I just worry about Geno Smith. Is he going to buckle under pressure? Are you going to get a really good performance out of Geno Smith? It's hard to say, but I think interchanging Seattle and the Rams at 2 and 3 is very capable. You're right. The Cardinals, as much as I'm a huge Kyler Murray fan, according to people out there, um, that I think Kyler's going to have a good year. As he stays healthy, he's going to have a good year, but I still think Arizona is still going to be the 4th best team in this division. They're going to finish last. I don't think they have a whole bunch of wins, but
What's a good year? 5-12.
yeah, I would say 5-12, 6-11. I think would be a good year for them. If anything outside of that, any lower than that, I don't know, man. That would be a pretty bad year. I mean, there's no much hopes for them. I don't think they're the worst team in the NFL. I'll put it that way. So that's why I give them about 5-6 wins. I think the worst team's probably going to have maybe 3 wins, 4 wins this year in the NFL. And surprisingly, it's not going to be Carolina either. I don't have them as the worst team in the NFL, but
So if the Cardinals, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. What do you got?
If the Cardinals lose again this year, which I think everyone expects them to, is this the end of the Kyler Murray run with the Cardinals?
Depends on what their record is. If it is like 6-11, I think you still go another year with Kyler Murray. If they finish absolutely terrible at 3-14, 4-13, you got to look very closely at maybe grabbing a quarterback coming into the draft next year, because the Kyler Murray project is probably over. Safe to say that both Kyler and Danny are probably gone at the same time, so we'll never know that debate on who was the better QB in that draft class. Apparently, Gio feels like Kyler will always be. Mark is dropping in here with prediction for Rookie of the Year is Marvin Harrison Jr. on the offensive side. Very well could be.
Oh,
Very well
boy.
could be. Very well could be.
Wow.
So we got
Don't
San
tell that
Francisco.
to Caleb. Hey, Rudy, don't tell that to Caleb.
Oh yeah, we don't want Caleb running into the fans and crying and all that, stands crying and all that. So yeah, don't let Caleb know that at all. We both have San Francisco winning the West. I believe we were looking at maybe like 11, 12 wins. I think for San Francisco for me, and that'll be
11?
enough for
Oh my goodness.
I said 11 or 12. I'll give them 11 or 12.
Not 13-4, huh?
So McCaffrey's banged up. Debo Samuel seems to be injury prone year in, year out. George Kittle has been on the decline. So it's hard for me to give them, the 13, 14 wins because I feel a lot of their players are trending down. And even McCaffrey. I mean, the injuries for McCaffrey, he could, this could be an injury year for him. We have no idea. But if he gets injured, I mean, then that plane just kind of starts to rock a little bit more. So it's like, okay, you got to get back up and you got to do this, you got to do that. So injuries are going to be a big concern for San Francisco. That's why I've got their win total. I got it right about 12. What do you have their win total at?
13-4, 12-5. I think they're going to have a really good year, and I'm going to try to look at. I'm saying that McCaffrey's going to be healthy most of the season, and we know if he's healthy, he's in the MVP running. And I think 49ers are going to have a very good season. Only one or two teams could beat them in the league, and we'll get to that before we off of here.
Oh yeah. Louis from La Cocina Taco Truck's in here. Bear down. We'll get to your Chicago Bears here in just a minute. Louis, appreciate you jumping on. Moving on over to the AFC West Division: Kansas City Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, Denver Broncos, Las Vegas Raiders, and the Chargers. There's no surprise here. It's going to be Kansas City in this division. One of the better teams in the NFL, probably a Super Bowl contender. Outside of that, I'm just going to say that my offensive rookie of the year is in this division. That is Mr. Bo Nix from Denver. So I'm on the Bo bandwagon, the 40-year-old club Bo bandwagon here. So what's your preview for the AFC West there? Because for me, it's Kansas City, and then the other three teams will just fight for wherever.
I think the Chargers are going to be the surprise out of this division. You got a champion that's coming in coaching them, and I know he's happy to be back in the NFL, and he's here to make a statement. So I think Justin Herbert is going to have a really good year. I don't know, man. I like the Chargers. I think you're sleeping on the Chargers. I expect the Chiefs to win the division, but I don't know, Rudy. Man, I think the Chargers are going to push the Chiefs for that division. And if we look at it, the Chargers, the first game, they got a tough one. And if you look at it, you'll be able to tell a lot about that division in the first game because they're going to kind of like steamroll the Raiders. And then I think after that point, people will start getting on the Charger bandwagon and start picturing them in the playoff mix and how far they can go. But I think Jim Harbaugh has some tricks up his sleeve, and I think the Chargers are going to push the Chiefs for that division. I'm going to give the Chiefs a slight edge, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as people think.
All right, and I'm gonna say I have the Chargers 2 on my end of the year predictions. I have them 2 in the division. I see Kansas City probably 13 wins in this division finishing the year. I could see the Chargers maybe 10, 11 wins. I mean, I could give them double digits. I think that's very capable for Jim Harbaugh. I mean, to me,
11-6. I could see him if they go 11-6. I think that's a very successful year. And then in the playoffs, anything can happen. But I think they're going to have a really good team, and I just think Harbaugh is going to get the guys to buy in. And a lot of the mistakes they made in the past, I think they're going to shore a lot of those things up. The little things, as you know, that means so much. Mm-hmm. So I think the Chargers are going to be a very good team, a formidable team for everyone. and I expect them to. I just don't see them overtaking Kansas City, but I'm gonna put the Chargers right there at second in the division.
This time next year, I probably will have the Chargers closer, if not over Kansas City. I'll just say it right now. A full year under Harbaugh, a full, well, not necessarily a full off season, but a full year with an additional off season for Jim Harbaugh is going to do wonders for the Chargers. So this time next year, I'll probably end up having the Chargers equal to, if not better, than Kansas City. I'm just saying that now.
Rudy, what about Kansas City's offensive line though?
It's,
Offensive tackles, because Jawan Taylor and Donovan Smith struggled last year,
yeah.
and Taylor led the league in penalties with 23. So do you think they've shored that up? Because if they haven't shored that up, that's going to put a lot of pressure on Patrick. And
No.
I'm hoping they shored it up, but
Mhm.
hey, that remains to be seen.
It remains to be seen, and also look at the defensive side of the ball. I've said a million times the reason why Kansas City won last year. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is a big reason why, but their defense is truly the main reason why Kansas City were Super Bowl champs last year. They've lost,
Yeah.
L'Jarius Sneed in the offseason, so their defense took a hit. Mahomes can score, but if other teams are out there scoring on him as well, you're putting a lot more pressure on Patrick Mahomes to score points, to get more than just field goals and stuff like that. So, this is going to be the year, I think, where you may see Patrick Mahomes battle tested a lot more than any other year. I think this is that one year. So your Charger pick may actually come to fruition if we're talking about it, because Kansas City does have, they have their struggles. And the problem is you can never bet against Patrick Mahomes. Like, it's the damn Tom Brady thing, Derek. You can't bet against Tom Brady, no matter who he's got, lined up with him on the offensive side or whatever. You can't bet against them. So I think you're honest with me, and that's why I said this time next year, I'll probably have the Chargers equal to, if not better, than Kansas City. Tim Gonzalez in here. What's good, Rudy and Derek? How you doing, Tim? Appreciate you joining us here. Derek, Hall of Famer Derek, Rudy Campos Jr. Let's going to crack into the NFC. You know what? We're going to go to the NFC North. We're going to save the NFC East for last, because apparently Cowboy Country is where we broadcast from. So NFC North, you've got Vikings, Bears, Lions, Packers. Oh my. Now, the most hyped up division in football, you've got the best wide receiver in the game in Justin Jefferson. You have the most hyped quarterback to come out of college in a while when it comes to Caleb Williams and all the weapons they surrounded him with. You have the success last year of Jordan Love and the young wide receivers, and actually the young team of the Green Bay Packers. And then you have my prediction of Super Bowl champion this year, the most well-built team, in my opinion, if healthy the whole year, the Detroit Lions. And I let the cat out of the bag. They are my Super Bowl winners this year. I have them representing the NFC. I have them being Super Bowl champs. So give me Super Bowl champion, Detroit Lions 1, Green Bay 2. I can't believe I'm saying this. Give me the Bears at 3, Vikings at 4. I have two teams making the playoffs, and I'm going to be nice to Gio. I have an outside shot of the Bears sneaking in to the playoffs. That's how I see this division. This is probably the best division in the NFC, hands down.
Man, this might be the best division in football. If the Bears can do their part. Of course, I got the Lions winning the division, but oh man, Jordan Love kind of makes me nervous.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have a really good year. He want to show people that, a lot of people just talk about what he did over the last 8 to 10 games, but I think Green Bay saw something in him, and that's one of the reasons Aaron Rodgers is no longer a Packer. I expect the Packers to have a really good year. I expect them to win double digits. I could see them going 11-6, maybe even 12-5. I think Jordan Love puts his name in the MVP voting. And I think the Packers are going to be a really, really good second team. But I just think the Lions, man, we looking at 14-3 for my Detroit Lions, or 13-4 at worst. So
Yeah.
Dan Campbell's gonna have, hey, they're gonna be the team to beat this year, and I think we're gonna see it right off the bat. The Detroit Lions are here to stay, and look out, LA Rams, because we're coming for you.
I do see that, man. Detroit, I've got them at, and again, all these predictions and stuff are based off of health, man. I mean, obviously, a team can be in shambles if they get all injured and health is a problem. Everybody understands that, but a healthy Detroit Lions, I mean, you're talking Jared Goff, Jameer Gibbs, Montgomery,
Hey,
Amon St. Brown. Go ahead. Go ahead.
hey, Rudy, you know what's interesting is they talking about the Chiefs Ravens, how big a game that is, and the Eagles Packers. But if you
Yeah.
look at the Lions and Rams, you got Matt Stafford versus Jared Goff. And these two guys were traded for each other in March of 2021. Both of them have 24 wins since then. And
Yeah.
so this is going to be an interesting game because we already know that Matt Stafford has secured his Super Bowl win. And now, can Jared Goff make it happen? So I think this is a bigger game than people are talking about.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And one guy to watch out for the Rams too on the defensive end. They don't have Aaron Donald anymore. Gio just got done crying. I sent him the last box of tissues I had. He said he's done. He's good right now for the Aaron Donald retirement. But they've got a guy who I really love in Jared Verse, who they drafted out of Florida State. Hey, if Florida State made
Yeah.
it to this dream, that's terrible. But they've got Jared Verse, who, he's from Florida State. I think he takes over that Aaron Donald role. But you're right. This is a massive game to start the year. Detroit, Sam Laporta. I mean, Jameson Williams. Then you got Aiden Hutchinson on the other side of the ball. Everybody knows that the NFC North is going to go through Detroit. So, Derek, come read me. I cover the Lions for the Sports Saturday Network, and would love your opinion. I'll definitely get in contact with you for Mark Harpin. Maybe you can talk to him when it comes to Detroit Lions football. Derek, he does a great job for Sports Insanity. Wild card, playoff bound. Louis says the Chicago Bears, but Detroit is a team to beat in the division. He knows that. I know y'all talked about it already, but I still think Texans make the playoffs. Maybe it's a fifth seed. Texans are actually the better team in the AFC South, Tim. So, yeah, we're giving all of the Texans when it comes to the AFC South. Now, before we move on to the next division, Derek, the Chicago Bears, the biggest offseason, media circus has been with Chicago. They draft Caleb Williams. He's the next prodigy. Gio calls him, the next big thing, all this other stuff. So I've never been sold on Caleb Williams, as you know, and everybody, it's well documented. Do I see a success for him? I see a success for everybody. I mean, is there going to be struggles? Every rookie quarterback has struggles. Peyton Manning was terrible his rookie year, but all the weapons that were put in place for Caleb Williams, he should be better than expected. I guess if I'm asking that correct. In other words, his season should be a lot better than what we've seen out of other rookies in the past.
lot better. That's 7-10.
Oh man. Could it be 7-10? I honestly I stopped and thought about it. I had them at 8-9, 9-8, actually, when I really thought about it.
Wow, they go 9-8. I think people, that's some tough fans. The Bear fans are tough, but
Yeah.
I guess at this point, if you see progress, and really you just want to see this year, is Caleb really a franchise quarterback? So if they can win 9 games, even 8, in my mind, that's a very successful season for the Chicago Bears. We'll have to see what they look like defensively. I think the defense is going to be pretty good. Secondary, I don't expect to be as bad as last year. Even the defensive line, I think they've made improvements on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
But I think with Caleb being a rookie, he's still gonna have to, take his bumps. And I think by him not playing more in the preseason is going to kind of set him back a little bit. But I do expect an improved Chicago Bears team, but I don't think they could touch the Lions or the Packers. I think they're not. They're still a little ripe, I'll say.
Yeah, no, and just an FYI, guys, don't let the episodes of Hard Knocks fool you. All right, they're gonna make everybody look fantastic on Hard Knocks and HBO. So I know the Bears were on it, so don't don't buy into the Hard Knocks hype. We tend to see a lot. It's like the Madden cover. It's always a curse for whatever reason. So honestly, going into the season, I've got the Detroit Lions, I've got the Packers, I've got the Bears 3, got the Vikings at 4. For the Viking, it's just a quarterback play. They're going to have to go draft a quarterback in the offseason for the draft. So, you already locked up Justin Jefferson. It's not like he's going to want to go anywhere. He got the bag secured, so I wouldn't worry too much on that. Jumping over to the AFC North side, we're going Cincinnati, Cleveland, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. This is my tough division. This is the tough division for me. I've been on the Baltimore hating bandwagon for a while in the offseason. As much as I've got, not hate for Baltimore, I just feel like their defense took a back seat in the offseason. They lost some of their players. Actually, 2 of them went on to divisional opponents. To me, it's like you've got Lamar. You know what to expect out of Lamar. He's going to get his passing touchdown. He's going to get his rushing touchdown. He's going to get his rushing yards. You added Derrick Henry, which is a huge, huge addition for them. But you add Derrick Henry knowing that you add Derrick Henry knowing you're already a running team, and everybody prepares for you to be a running team. So I don't know how much of a good of addition that was. I've got Baltimore at a soft number 2 in the division, but a strong number 3 finish. I actually have Pittsburgh at number 4 right now. I've got Cincinnati winning the division. And again, I have Cleveland at 2, but it wouldn't surprise me to see Baltimore at 2.
Oh my goodness! So you got the Browns at 3rd or 4th, huh?
No, 2nd or 3rd, 2 or 3. I have Pittsburgh at 4. Yeah, I got Pittsburgh.
I think the Browns are the surprise in this division, and I think they're only going to piggyback off what they did last year defensively. They're going to continue to get better. I think Myles Garrett is going to have another really good year. And I just think Cleveland's, I don't know. Now I'm worried about the offense a little bit. Deshaun, we get a healthy Deshaun Watson. And if he can kind of bring back the days, I'll say like 4 years ago, the Deshaun that we were seeing before he had his issue, they could be a very dangerous team. I think their defense is going to be very good. Their biggest question for me would be offensively. But I believe in Deshaun after being back last season, coming back and getting some reps. And then this year he gets a start from scratch. I expect the Cleveland Browns to be the surprise in that division. I'm going to take the Ravens to win that division. Of course, the Ravens, I think, are going to be 0-1. But I think it's going to come down to the Browns and the Ravens. And I'm going to put the Bengals 3rd because we still don't know Joe Burrow, if he's going to be healthy or not. And I believe in the Browns more than I believe in the Bengals right now.
It doesn't surprise me. The toughest division in the in NFL football is the AFC North for me. I mean, you could have Cincinnati at 1, and other people could have them at 4. I mean, it's very likely. And Mark is saying Baltimore goes 13-4, since he's 2nd at 11-6. Don't sleep on the Browns again. Yeah, don't sleep on the Browns. I mean,
hey,
go ahead.
Hey, Rudy, I'm sorry. I'm looking at Mark's comment, 13-4, because if I'm correct, Gio didn't even have them winning double digits. Am I correct about that?
I think he got him at 9 wins.
Gio said that the Ravens might not even make the playoffs. So I'm more with Mark. Yeah, both of you guys.
Yeah, we both said that.
And I'm more with Mark. I don't know about 13-4, but I think we're going to find a lot about the Ravens immediately tonight. And I think the Ravens are going to be have another really good year. I think Lamar's going to have another strong year. So I'm going to take the Ravens and the Browns to be my first 2 teams in that division.
Yeah, and for me, say Baltimore goes 13-4, but they don't perform in the playoffs. You still got to talk about the Harbaugh effect. I mean, he may have to be replaced, and it sucks to say. Harbaugh's had a lot of success, especially in Baltimore, but when you can't get it done and you're still going 13-4, 14-3, you've got to push through the wall and break down that wall and get through the barriers to get to the Super Bowl, at least to the Super Bowl. I understand you're facing Patrick Mahomes, but you still have a dynamic quarterback in Lamar Jackson. So you should be able to get that far. And as far as Pittsburgh goes, real quick, I'll give you a Pittsburgh thing. You're going with Russell Wilson to start the year. you're already a loss in my book. It's Justin Fields. You should have started Justin Fields. For me, it gives him a better chance to win. You obviously have George Pickens. I mean, Najee Harris, Jalen Warren on the offensive side for the running backs. I don't see a whole lot from Pittsburgh that screams that they're going to be the best team in this division. I don't even. I actually have them right now 8-9, maybe 7-10.
Oh boy, that's news. You saying Mike Tomlin is not going to at least go 500? Oh boy,
No,
that's
the
that's
17 game
news, right?
schedule screwed Mike there. He couldn't go Jeff Fisher 8-8. He is going to go 8-9 maybe at that. So,
So
um,
are you looking at Russell Wilson being there starting quarterback? Say he stays healthy. Are
yeah.
you looking at Russell being there starting quarterback most of the year, at least 85 or 90% of the season? A healthy Russell Wilson.
Man, if they want to win, no. If they want to win, no. I don't. Russ isn't bad, obviously. It's just he's not good anymore. Like his season, he's at the end of his career. I mean, this is where you start Justin Fields and Russ becomes a backup. That's where I feel. I think Justin Fields gives you a lot more chances of winning. And if they start Justin Fields, I'd creep it up to 9-8, maybe 10-7. I could see that, but I don't believe in Russell Wilson at all. Not right now. Not at all. This is Mike Tomlin's first losing year. Yeah, this will be Mike Tomlin has his first losing year. Definitely. We're gonna move. We're gonna speed quickly through the last couple of divisions here. We're gonna go AFC East. Jets. 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 Derek's Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins, and the New England Patriots. Now, for the Patriots' sake, they're gonna be the bottom team. They've got they drafted Drake May. They're a very young team. The Patriots are gonna be the bottom team. For how long? I have no idea. For me, the Patriots are probably going to be the worst team in the NFL. Just my own judgment there. I've got them at the 3 or 4 win for the season. Outside of that, Jets are one for me. They are my Super Bowl AFC representatives. The offense is, clicking. If Rodgers can keep healthy, I like the offense they've got. Everything seems to be in play. They improved the offensive line. Their defense is Super Bowl worthy. So everything screams there for the New York Jets. The Buffalo Bills, again, the wide receiver room is a huge question mark right now. You can't count out Josh Allen, but Josh Allen is a turnover machine. So without an elite wide receiver somewhere in there to help, who knows how it's going to be for Josh Allen. And then you have Miami Dolphins. We get great Tua. We get bad Tua. We don't know what Tua we're going to get. So that's what scares me. You have the most elite pass catcher in the game with Tyreek Hill. So he's a difference maker as well. I've got the Jets. I've got the Dolphins. I've got the Bills, and I've got the Patriots, Derek.
Well, Patriots, I can just scratch off. Basically, I think they're a year or two away from even being a contender. Period. But you look at that division, man. I don't know. I'm still thinking about. Haven't been able to put my mind on which one. Am I going Jets or Bills? I had picked the Jets to be in the Super Bowl, and I know you did as well.
Yeah.
And now here we are several weeks later, and I just always have trouble when Josh Allen is playing. It makes it hard for me to go against the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
And we do drop a lot of passes. Some of that's on Josh, and then some of that's on the receivers. We kind of dropped a lot of passes like the Detroit Lions last year against the 49ers. But I think this year they're going to make up for that. I expect Aaron Rodgers to have a better year than a lot of people think. Aaron still is that one of those guys. I don't think we've seen he's not over the hill yet, I'll say. So I think he's going to push the Jets to new heights, but I think them and the Bills are really going to fight for that first and second, Rudy. But I also am going to have trouble counting out the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are going to have a better year than people think as well. I think Tua wants to quiet some of the doubters. They're still questioning if he's a franchise quarterback. And I know he takes that as a slap in the face. So that division is probably going to be the toughest, the most contested division out of all of them. But I'm going to go, man, I'm going to go Jets first. You hear me changing already, Rudy? I'm going to say the Buffalo. I'm going to say the Buffalo Bills win that division, uh, 12-5 or whatever. And I think the Jets go 11-6. Going to be a really good division, very competitive. But I'm going to put the Bills slightly ahead of the Jets.
Yeah, and going back to Tim, yeah, I think Miami makes the playoffs with Tua. So that I don't have doubt on that. I actually have them making the playoffs. And Joel Cologne's in here. He missed the early show announcement. We announced it yesterday. We announced it again this morning, Joel. But hey, you just joined us. You joined it. That's fantastic. This show's going to be replayed this afternoon for you guys. So we're going to replay it again. We also have another Sweep the League tonight. We're going to go live tonight talking college football and other stuff as well. Maybe recap some of the NFL picks that we're making, but don't worry about that. And yes, Pats are going to have a long season. Let's go Pats. And he says, F the Jets, why? Because it's in the Bible. F the Jets. I'm like, I don't remember reading that in the Bible anywhere. But if Joel says it's in there, then the book of Joel Cologne says F the Jets, apparently. So that's our picks for the AFC East. Dallas Cowboys not only win the division 12-5, they win the Super Bowl. Come on, Mark. Really, they'll make the playoffs. 10-7, Commanders 6-11, New York Giants 3-14. Surprisingly, we're coming up to the NFC East, our last division here. Now you've got the boys, you've got the Eagles, you got the Commanders, which again, apologies because I didn't see that the old logo for Washington is on this graphic. But you have the New York Giants as well. So everything points to the Philadelphia Eagles winning this division. Everything points to
everything.
Everything points to it points. I'm not saying we're going that route. Just because the sign says walk this way doesn't mean we got to walk that way. But as much as Gio hates the Dallas Cowboys and gives them like 7 wins on the year, you and I have been clearly saying they're going to win double digits. Now, I truly have the Eagles winning the division, but tying the Dallas Cowboys. I have the Eagles 11-6. I have the Cowboys 11-6. It's going to be a tie, but I think Philadelphia has the tiebreaker. So that's my NFC East preview. After that, it's Washington, and then it's the greatest football team in New York, the Giants, with the greatest quarterback in Daniel Jones at number 4 in his coup de grace for the New York Giants. Daniel Jones brings up the rear at number 4. That's what I look at right now for the NFC East.
Wow. I'm going to pick the Cowboys to win this division. I know the last 3 years, I believe they've gone 12-5.
Yeah,
I could see that again. To be honest with you, I could see that happening again. And the Eagles, I still have question marks about the Eagles. Their biggest problem, in coverage last year, they were 28th in the league coverage wise. So we got to see if they shored that up. And you got Cam Jurgens now moving back to right guard, back to his natural position. They tried him, I guess, in that Jason Kelsey spot. And I guess they feel more comfortable with him back at right guard. So the Eagles still have some adjustments that they have to check out. And I think the Cowboys are ready to come out guns blazing. And I just think, hey, we're in Texas. And they say in Texas, things that are bigger. I think we're expecting a bigger year for the Cowboys. I'm expecting Dak to really have a good year because he wants to prove that he should be in that $60 million range. I won't even say the 55. I think Dak believes he's a $60 million guy, and I think he's going to come out and prove it this year. I'm taking the Cowboys to win that division, and then the Eagles. Giants and Commanders will be fighting for the bottom of the league with the Cardinals and a couple other teams, but I'm going to definitely take the Cowboys to win that division.
It's funny. I said the Patriots were the worst team. I still think that, but the Giants are the second probably worst team in the NFL. So they're going to be getting a quarterback, maybe like a Cam Ward or somebody in the draft next year. So, it's why I say 11-6. I have a tie at the top of the division. I have the Eagles just at the tiebreaker, but I wouldn't care if the Cowboys got the tiebreaker and they were number 1. One of these two teams is going to be number 1. And on paper, like I said earlier, the sign points to Philadelphia. We don't have to go that way. On paper, on what I see, the better team in the division is the Dallas Cowboys. I really truly believe that. They are the better team in the division. I have them better than Philadelphia. Doesn't mean that they're going to finish first in the division. I said they're going to be tied. But I do feel the better team in the division is the Dallas Cowboys. Dak not getting that contract is super pissing him off to the point where you may see, like a lot of players do in many, many sports, in a contract year, it goes all out. They just ball out left and right. So we may see a different side of Dak Prescott this year. Yeah, appreciate you, Mark, for joining us in. He's got to get ready for his baseball podcast. So again, Sports Saturday Network, give them a follow out there.
Thank you, Mark.
But yeah, so I think Dallas is the better team in the division, but all signs point to the Eagles winning the division. So that was our coverage, man, for all the teams, all the divisions in the NFL. We're going to break down one last thing here, Derek. Give me an MVP candidate for the year, and then we'll get into a couple more. These are our quick, our snapping of the fingers picks here. So putting them on the clock. Give me your NFL MVP candidate for the year, or winner for the year.
My surprise MVP candidate and winner for the year resides in the city of Detroit. His name is Jared Goff, and I'm picking the Detroit Lions to be the last team standing. Jared Goff, let's go.
So he's taking Jared Goff of his MVP winner, and I'm assuming you're taking the Lions to win the Super Bowl, so we can answer that question
without. I wore this for a reason today. Hey, man.
So I'll do my MVP.
I'm trying not to be. I don't want to be too biased, but I just gotta go. I'm still picking who I think is the best team, Rudy, and I think it's the Lions head and shoulders over everyone else.
Yeah, I will say this. My MVP candidate. This is kind of out of left field in a way, but it's not. My MVP candidate resides in also a major market, starts with a D, but it's just not Detroit. My MVP candidate right now is going to be Dak Prescott. He gets, I think, over the hump. He's going to have a great statistical year. I feel like he's going to be mentioned right there with both Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, but with a lot to prove, I'm taking Dak to be the MVP of the year. Again, I mean, he's always talked about, he's always up there. So I think he gets his flowers this year. And my Super Bowl prediction was made earlier. I will announce it again. I'm going to ask that Derek and George Gervin, Magic Johnson, Chris Webber, all you Detroit natives, Rob Parker, everybody, join me on the Super Bowl podium as we hoist the Lombardi Trophy, as my pick is the Detroit Lions. Barring any injuries, the Detroit Lions are my pick to win the Super Bowl this year. That would be a cool, amazing photograph to take with all you guys out there. So outside of that, NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, Derek. You got a rookie in mind that you want to throw?
Yeah, for the league, I think overall, I think, man, that's a tough one. I expect Caleb Williams to be in the running. I don't know if they're going to go by their records or whatever, or they're going to go by the guy who had a spectacular stat-wise, I'll say, a stat season. So for that reason, I'm going to pick Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams. I'm going to go with Bo Nix out of Denver. He gets the starting nod. I wouldn't be surprised to see Jaden Daniels actually get some love out of Washington for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Mark earlier had Marvin Harrison Jr. I really, really love that Bo Nix might be that guy for Denver, and I believe Sean Payton has a lot of belief in him, so he's going to be my Offensive Rookie of the Year. Your Super Bowl prediction is the Jets and the Lions. It's the exact same for me. I've got the Jets and the Lions. Other than that, man, you know what? It's week one. We are going to do tonight is we're going to go, we're going to come back at 9:00 tonight. We're going to give you our predictions. We're going to go game by game. And we're going to give you our winners for week one. Coach Gio is going to be out of this one because, you know, apparently he doesn't get any service on international waters. But we got a game happening before we go on live tonight, Derek. It's Baltimore. It's Kansas City. Give me your pick for Baltimore, Kansas City.
Oh man, that's going to be a tough one. I think the Ravens want to make up for last year, but I still think playing in Kansas City, I think Mahomes is going to be motivated. I think the crowd is going to get them over the hump, and I expect the Chiefs to win a very close game, a 3-point win for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm taking Kansas City tonight to start the season 1-0. Baltimore goes 0-1. And real quick, Tim, I'll answer that. Do the Baltimore Ravens make the Super Bowl this year? No. And I think that's going to be detrimental to Baltimore because, again, I think that puts Harbaugh really on the hot seat because you've got that type of team. You're going 13-4 every year. You're not making the Super Bowl. It's super, super tough. But Derek and I both have Kansas City winning tonight. Enjoy football, guys. Football's back. We're going to break down some college football tonight with Derek Irvin. Tim is begging you to give him your week one analyst for college football. So we'll get into that tonight. Again, this show is going to be replayed this afternoon. So if you missed it, be looking for it. The only way to get the notification is subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, search at Sweep the League TV. Be a subscriber, hit that notification button. So when we do rebroadcast this afternoon, you get notified. And then join us tonight again at 9 p.m. as the original Sweep the League show kicks off again tonight as we get you ready for the rest of the NFL weekend and the rest of the college football weekend. Football back, Derek. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be a great time. So let's go. All you fantasy football players out there, I'm in not as many leagues as I was last year, but I am in a good amount of leagues. So he's going for Detroit. I've got Detroit. I guess Gio has either Arizona or the Rams winning the Super Bowl. We don't know. He's too scared to make his predictions, but nonetheless, until we sweep the league again tonight, folks, appreciate you joining us here on Sweep the League for the NFL preview.
Everybody have a good day.
Hey there, sports fans. I'm Ashley, your go-to girl for all things sports here on Sweep the League. Welcome to our daily news reports where we'll be covering the latest updates from the NFL, NBA, WNBA, college sports, and more. We're thrilled to be a part of the rapidly growing Sweep the League network, bringing you fast and fresh news updates every day. Make sure to subscribe to Sweep the League TV on YouTube for even more in-depth analysis and discussions with our amazing team Monday through Friday. Huge thank you to our incredible sponsors in San Antonio for their support. We couldn't do it without you. So let's get started. I'm Ashley, and I'll be sweeping the league for you every day. Stay tuned for the latest sports news and updates.